What's up, everybody? Bembesito, as usual here. Uh, we're in difficult times right now, and we're trying to make this, the best as possible. So it's been a while, but since we're at home right now, I decided to make a video since a lot of people had been hitting me up to do some videos. I have a lot of people requesting different kinds of videos, but a lot of them were a little weird, so I kind of waited. But I also had been busy recording some new music, um, so hopefully we'll have some new music coming out soon. Uh, but the topic that I wanted to do this video on was a very important one that I'm seeing all throughout the internet now, um, which is a craze. It's kind of like a craze that's going on, and it looks weird. I mean, I've seen these type of things before in all my years uh, doing this, and in these spiritualities and stuff, and like everything and anything, uh, there are fads. Things become fads. Things become the the style. You know, things come and go. So right now, it's it's become very popular, and I've been seeing this on the internet, especially like online. On Facebook and all these things. Social media. There's a big craze with this, all this spirituality that is voodoo, 21 divisions, uh, things that I've never been involved in, like hoodoo and all these other things, which I'm just really, kind of, I mean, I've always heard of hoodoo and obviously, New Orleans style voodoo and all that stuff. I've always heard of these things and, conjuring and stuff, but I'd never really researched on it, and that was in my field, so I've never seen it. But there's a lot of like people coming into these African spiritualities. They're becoming um, conscious, especially here in the United States, and everywhere. There's a lot of people. There's everywhere. There's people going into these spiritualities, into spiritualism and all these things. But specifically here in the United States, now you have a lot of the people, like, that have never really practiced any of this, or don't have any um, family lineage, maybe. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. A lot of the African American community, they're coming into this, and they're doing they're getting into it, which is a great thing, because obviously, um, you know, it's something that had to happen eventually. Should have happened a long time ago. That the African Americans all over the United States, not only in the areas where like the Latin American diaspora uh, had brought these things. There was involvement, like here in New York City. African, all along the East Coast, or even the West Coast. Um, there's been a Latin American community that has brought, um, Afro diaspora traditions, like in the case of Santeria, Cuban Santeria. The Cubans brought it to the East Coast, whatever, and a lot of the African Americans were getting into it. So, but now it's happening on a bigger scale all over the United States. With this, of course, the uh, Cuban Santeria, Haitian Dominican voodoo, um, African American hoodoo, and New Orleans style voodoo, all these things. So it's a big, it's almost like a fad, because a lot of people are coming into it, and it's just on a massive scale. So obviously, a lot of these people are gonna come into it and come into these things and do it the right way. A lot of people, unfortunately, are gonna come into this and do it the do yourself way. Research online, and in some cases it's understandable because there aren't like masters or priests or teachers, mentors or whatever you want to call it, of these traditions all over the United States. Is hard to find. So people just do what they got to do. Okay, but I've been seeing a phenomenon, like I said earlier, online, and it's people putting up altars. Okay, and this is the new craze now. Put up an altar. Okay, so a lot of people have been hitting me up because they've been seeing this whole phenomenon or this fad online on social media, on here on YouTube or whatever. You know what I mean? Everybody's putting up altars. Everybody's putting up an altar. Um, let me put up an ancestral altar. Let me put up my own altar to uh, Papalegba, or to an altar to Oshun. That's a popular one. Everybody now, especially women, have an altar for Ochun. Uh, you know, so you have all these things happening, and people are telling me you have to address this, and more people of these traditions that are practicing these traditions, the traditions like that are established, real traditions, legit traditions. Priests and spiritualists should speak on this because this is just craziness, and there should be more videos on this. So this, is a message to whoever I know that watches me that is a priest of these traditions, and this would be a good topic to speak on right now. So everybody's putting up altars. Is it correct? Is it okay to put up altars? To make your own altar? Yes and no. Uh, let's start with. I'm going to speak specifically within voodoo, be it Haitian or Dominican, whatever. 21 divisions, whatever. I mean, I always speak on voodoo in general, be it on the Haitian or the Dominican side. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's the same crap anywhere you go. So, is it okay to put up an altar? In Haiti and in the Dominican Republic, people do it. No initiation, no. Some people do it under the guidance of somebody, an elder in the tradition, and they'll put up a personal small altar in their house. Some people already have altars in their house in Haiti or the Dominican Republic because their family has this tradition already. It's a family tradition. So there's an altar. Mom has an altar in the house. Grandma has an altar in the house, a room for that, or whoever. You know what I mean? Uncle, whatever has a room for the spirits. You know what I mean? Or various rooms. It depends. There's a lot of things. So depending on how deep the person is in the tradition, but a lot of people in the Dominican Republic, people that are not priests or anything, or in Haiti, have altars because they're devoted to the Loa, to one Loa, two Loa, three. Some people have a huge altar, a whole room, just for that. Even like I've been to houses of people that are well off, rich people that are not priests or anything, and they have they're just devoted because this is a tradition that has been passed down, or they're just devoted culturally, because this is our culture, you know what I mean, as Dominicans and Haitians. So I've been to people that are like rich in the Dominican Republic, and they have nothing to do with like working voodoo for publicly or anything. They're just very devoted, and they have in their house a whole room dedicated to the law, a huge altar, and they attend it, and they'll even do a yearly feast for whatever saint they're very devoted to, or various feasts, depending. And they'll invite their closest friends, etc., etc. And it'll be a private thing of theirs. You know what I mean? So these people put up altars, and some of them, like I said, they put them up pure devotion. But we have to understand. It's like I've said in a lot of videos. They're in the culture. They're in the land where this is practiced. This is part of their culture. So if they put up an altar, there's a lot of notions still there. You know what I mean? It's there. That's part of their culture. So, and even then, in the Dominican Republic and in Haiti, I've heard a lot of stories of people that have put up altars, and they put up altars, and it doesn't work for them. They have to take it down because they start having weird dreams because they did it. Some people do it, and it just doesn't go right for them. They didn't put up the right stuff to call the right energies, the right loi. I've heard of people's altars that have burned because maybe they did something wrong, and even this even happens with priests, with people that are initiated. There's altars that have burned. There's altar rooms or shacks or whatever, the little like houses that they have that have burned down. So it can happen to anybody, It could be out of pure negligence with a candle or something, or it can be like really spiritual, where you did something wrong, So this is something that has to be done very carefully, even within the culture in the Dominican Republic and Haiti. People always, elders always say you got to be careful when you're going to put up an altar, because you have to put the one that is really yours. Some a loi or saint that you're really devoted to. You can't just put up anything because that energy doesn't go with you, or you might be calling the wrong energies. And if you don't know, if you don't know how to do it, then you're gonna, get burned because you're calling entities and things that you don't know. Any entity could come in. So now I see this happening all over the United States, or even, other countries, where people are now finding out about voodoo, whatever they see online, Papa Legba or Santa Marta la Dominadora, which is very popular. You have Anaisa Pie, you have Ezili Freda, you have Metresili, obviously how they say it in some parts of the Haiti and in DR. All these lois, and they become popular. They become like a fad. You have the Gede, Baron del Cementerio, Baron Sandy, all these things. And people like these lois. They're like, oh, I'm going to put up an altar for Papa Legba. I'm just going to put up an altar for Legba. I'm going to put up an altar for Ochun. So now you have people putting up altars for traditions that don't use altars in that fashion, because Ochun mainly is used in the Santeria, on Afro-Cuban Santeria. And we don't set up altars for Ochun like that. You know, these are things that you receive in initiation with consecration. And even the altars in voodoo, Haitian or Dominican, they're put up in the house mainly when you know, especially if it's an individual. I'm not talking about a family circumstances here. I'm talking about one individual. So let's say I wanted to put up an altar. Oh, I just like Santa Marta. I'm going to put up an altar for Santa Marta. La Dominadora, because she's so cool, whatever. Like I've, said in other videos. No. Because if you put up this altar for this this energy might not be with you. So now you're putting up a statue or a picture and you're putting offerings here for this loi, but in reality it's not with you. So who are you putting these things to now? Any spirit that might be wandering around. And these spirits could be bad, they can be good, they can be false spirits that lie, that take over somebody. Now you have people suffering from insomnia. You have people getting, chills. You have people starting to feel weird. You can't sleep. You start to feel weird. You start to feel drained. You start to have dreams. You start to hear, even some people, tell me, oh, I'm hearing voices now after I put up this altar. So we have to be careful on putting up altars. It's not done like that. The proper way to put up altars is, in voodoo especially, is with the guidance of an elder, the guidance of a papaboko, mambo, ungan. That's what they're there for, the priests. So, you have to look for somebody, be it even online, but you have to look for somebody reputable, somebody that's legit. Do your research. But just don't put up an altar and I'm going to put up an altar to Papa Legba. Because that altar to Papa Legba may not be to Papa Legba, because Papa Legba's not with you. So now you're serving a spirit, any spirit. It could be a benevolent spirit or a malevolent spirit. And now you're starting to feel all these things and you wonder why. So again, the proper way to put up an altar is through the guidance of an elder. First of all, there has to be divination done. You have to get a reading in the tradition, not just from anybody. Not just from anybody that read your cards, not just from anybody that used any whatever method. No, it has to be a person within the tradition, a legit person within the tradition that is going to perform a real reading of that tradition to see who or what spirits, what loi are in your court, in your spiritual court. Okay? Then, in the case of my family lineage, we have a reading that is performed. It's called a kiluatet. Okay? Kiluatet. What loi is of the head. So, depending on like I've said this before in other videos, depending on the lineages of voodoo that you are going to get into and practice, it's different. In Asogwe voodoo, it's a different case. They find out who are the loi of the head or that are with you spiritually through other methods of initiation. Now you can get a reading and they can see more or less what lua are around. But the metet, which is the head lua, is figured out later on through an initiation. Okay? In the Dominican Republic, I've explained this before, there are many ways. One of the most popular ways that I do it is when people come to me, especially here in the United States, especially people that have never been involved or have no like family tradition of this, and we do that reading to see who is the lua of the head of that person and what other lua are with that person at the moment. Then they can set up an altar, a small altar at that too, only simply venerating the lua that are indicated through that reading. That's it. It's a small personal altar, and this is done to get the person going. Some people stay with that. That's all they do. But some people the people that are destined to go further, this is like an introduction point. Okay? This is the starting point. But it's, you put up the altar with the indication that is given through that reading. And everybody's different. Okay? Everybody has a different metet. It's not, you don't pick the lua that you want. Like, I just don't, say, oh, I like Santa Marta. Let me put up an altar. Let me look up a video on altars of Santa Marta, because that's another thing. There's a lot of people doing videos on how to put up altars to these lua, or there's instructional videos on altar building. That's cool. Those videos are cool. I'm not saying they're bad. But you have to know what lua is the one that's with you, or what lua are with you. If not, you're gonna be putting up a picture to nothing. You can put up a picture of Saint Anthony, for Papa Legba. Okay, like we use in the Dominican Republic, in some parts of Haiti. Saint Anthony. But if Legba is not with you, Legba hasn't come into your life, or doesn't come through your DNA, or somehow you haven't been introduced to that energy, or you don't know how to control, call, or recognize that energy, then you'll be having a picture there of Saint Anthony, and you're putting stuff there to the picture of Saint Anthony. You're not calling Papa Legba, because the lua have to recognize you. Okay? The lua have to recognize you. You don't recognize the lua. You don't pick the lua. So now, like I said, there's people just putting up random altars. Another thing I see now that's super popular is the ancestral altars. Okay? And many of these traditions, Haitian Dominican voodoo, in Cuban, Afro-Cuban traditions, and in many traditions, I would say, all, like I've said before, all around the world, there is ancestral veneration. If there's any altar that you have to start with an ancestral altar. That's the best altar you can put up. And even then, you should definitely look to an elder within these spiritualities to help you, because you just don't want to put any ancestor up in the altar Because remember, not all people that have died become an ancestor worthy of asking for guidance from them. Okay. Yes, we for all family, deaths or dead, we pray, we light a candle, we give them water. We, in the Dominican Haitian culture, we, many Latin American cultures, we do masses for them when they recently die throughout the year. Every month, you do the 1 year anniversary stuff, and we keep doing things throughout when somebody dies. But when you put up an ancestral altar, you have to know also how to do that. Because apart from blood ancestors, you may have other non blood ancestors that gravitate towards you. You have other guardians, spiritual guardians. So it's up to a spiritualist uh, to see this and read the person so they can correctly set up these ancestral altars. But if there's any altar that you have to start with, that I always tell people that's something okay to do, is an ancestral altar. And you put your closest relatives that are dead, obviously. If you have pictures of them, you put them there with a white cloth, a cup of water, candle, maybe some things that they might have liked in life. And this might go for even ancestors that you didn't meet, like a great grandmother, but you feel like some kind of connection that you never met her, or great grandfather, etc. You never met this person, but you feel a connection to them. So you put a picture if you have one. If not, it's okay. Water, a glass of water, candle. You can light some incense, and all you do for the ancestors, honestly, is you offer them prayer and light and water. Once in a while, maybe some coffee, some rum, just simple things like that. But you don't use the ancestors to work, to do, work with them. No. The ancestors, you don't use them for that. The ancestors are for to uplift. So then they, in return from wherever they are, can give us blessings. Yes, ancestors are known to give messages in dreams. You can definitely call upon an ancestor for help with a certain situation. But you don't take ancestors like you would do with a loa to work on somebody or a certain situation. You can ask for help, guidance, but you don't do work with them. Okay, because they should be resting in peace and elevating into the spiritual levels, or the terms that they use spiritually. You raise them up, you illuminate them, you give them prayer, so they can have a peaceful rest. But that's about it. But that's a point of connection. Okay, ancestral veneration, and it's done simply. Like I said, flowers, water, candle. That's the essential. If they like the little coffee, you put it. If they like the, some cigars, you may put it there. Cigarette, whatever, you just put little simple things. And you just venerate, you kind of give them praise and honor because they came before you. So those altars are okay to do them, but you have to also be cautious, because you might be calling on an ancestor that was, you can't be calling on all the, praising all these ancestors. You can't have maybe an ancestor that didn't get along with another on the same altar, things like of that nature. So you have to, do. This is why guidance is always good. Guidance is always good. There might be a certain ancestor that died tragically that may need special attention to uplift that spirit, to have, peace. So you have to be careful with that also. So there's a lot of things. The point is that you have to look for elders. These are not do-it-yourself traditions. I don't just put up an altar for Yemaya or Ochun or Chango. No. In the Afro-Cuban tradition, it's completely different. You get initiated. You have certain initiations. You receive these objects, these shrines, but I'm not going to say exactly what they are, but they're kept in, depending on the Orisha, they're kept in certain, vessels. And these objects are received through initiation, through ceremony. But you don't just put up an altar to Ochun because you saw a video of Beyonce and now, everybody's putting up an altar to Ochun. No way. That's not even how it's done in Cuba or in Africa or anywhere. Okay? So you have to research. You have to do the research. If you want to get into these traditions, do it the right way. Look for a priest. If you're in a place where it's impossible, look online. There's a lot of resources online. There's a lot of legit priests online, be it of Haitian voodoo, Asogwe, 21 divisions, the Dominican voodoo, of Cuban Santeria, Cuban Palo, Mayombe, Espiritistas. Everybody's online. So all you have to do is obviously you do research and ask around. Look at their profiles. See if they're legit. And hit somebody up for help. Or if you're in a place where, there is a community, go to the person. Ask around. Do your research on, check people out. Go and get a reading. I offer the Kiloatet readings online for people that are far away. I do readings for people that are far away online, through FaceTime, through the phone, because we have to resolve somehow. Especially now that we can't go out right now at this point in time. But for people that are far away, there's always help, and I help them through this. So I perform Kiloatet readings. I perform regular readings for people through distance. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Oh, there's nobody in my town. There's nobody around. No, you're online. So do it the right way, so that you don't have, you don't suffer spiritually, because this is what's happening now. I get a lot of people that are hitting me up, saying they're hearing voices, they can't sleep, they put up an altar and now they're having nightmares. They put up an altar in their bedroom and now they're seeing shadows. I've been getting these messages nonstop. And it's all because they're putting up altars. Another thing is, people are doing work that never had a notion of how to do work. To do work, yes, there's trial and error. But sometimes during trial and error, you're going to get really burned. So you're doing, okay, let's just say you got mad at somebody. And now when I see that this thing with the jars is a huge thing. Everybody's, especially like in the hoodoo type communities, the hoodoo tradition, they're doing jars. There's an obsession with jars. There's sweet jars, There's sour jars, there's this jar, and everything is a jar. I don't know what to say. Point is, somebody got mad, and I'm going to do a sour jar with a whole bunch of stuff to somebody that pissed me off or did something to me. So they're going to do it themselves. That's okay. But you got to be careful, because when you do things, there's always some kind of repercussion. So somebody hit me up, oh, I did a sour jar to somebody, and now I think it's affecting me. I had to get rid of it. Because when you do work spiritually, especially if you're firing at somebody, you got to be careful. Because if you're not experienced working, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to shoot yourself. Or who knows if that person has something protecting them, and that's going to bounce off and come back at you. And it might not even hit you. It might affect somebody in your family that lives with you, your kids, your parents, your whatever families around you. Even an animal, a pet, might get hit, and they might get sick. They might have some kind of incident that happens to them. So we have to be very careful. You can't just be inventing and doing things yourself, That's why, there are priests around in these traditions. It's like, medicine. You don't try to, of course you can cure yourself, but you have to know what you're doing. You don't just take an herb, any herb, and make a tea out of it or whatever you're going to do with it and drink it. No, because that herb might do something to you. It might cause you harm. So you have to have a knowledge, even to do natural medicine. You have to research. Is this herb good for stomach problems? Okay. This isn't a good herb for stomach problems. Okay. Research on it. If not, that herb is going to, give you diarrhea. You know what I mean? And it's going to be bad for you. It's going to cause you harm. It's the same way. So you have to go with the specialists, with people that know what they're doing. You have to learn the craft. This is an apprenticeship tradition. And even, we go back in time to Africa. They weren't just born knowing these things. No. You have to go and be an apprentice with the town's witch or healer or whatever. You have to become their apprentice to know. You didn't just, become the do-it-yourself guy and, okay, now I know what I'm doing. A doctor doesn't become a doctor just by experimenting. They go to medical school and learn how to treat whatever they're going to treat. They become specialists in a field. Surgeons, they become, neurologists or whatever. The point is, this is not just like that. No. You have to go to the source. You have to go to a priest. You have to have certain readings before you can do things. You have to have certain initiations before you can do certain things. Even when you initiate, you don't just, okay, I'm initiated, now I know everything. No. Initiation is the start of apprenticeship. You were just let in the door. That's why it's called initiation. You're initiating the path officially. Okay? So, people, be careful putting up altars of whatever law. Don't do it like that. Don't do it like that. Be careful doing spiritual work for yourself or to other people, because you might be doing more harm than good. be very careful because there's a lot happening now, and I'm getting a lot of messages. But on a lighter note, don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video because it's important to get the message out. Don't forget to listen to my music of the 21 Divisions, Haitian, Dominican Voodoo, Orisha, all that good stuff. You can listen to my music on all the digital platforms. Share it, follow Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, all that good stuff. I'll leave the link below of some of them. You can donate to my PayPal. I'll leave the link below. So I'll keep doing some videos. Please leave me some ideas on other videos that you would like to see. And I hope everybody stays safe in this special time that we're in. And may the ancestors and the Loa and the Orisha and all those good spirits, protect us and guide us through this. Aibo.